Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, Ditte Young, who's here to share with us the hidden language of animals, decoding telepathic communication. So what if your pets have been communicating with you all along, but just not in the way you expect? Animal communicator and international best-selling author Ditte Young joins us to share how animals express their needs, mirror their human companions, and communicate telepathically. Ditte Young is an internationally renowned telepath, animal communicator, clairvoyant, intuitive coach, and best-selling author who has dedicated her life to expanding human understanding of consciousness, connection, and communication, both seen and unseen. Born with a rare sensitivity to the spirit world, Ditte possesses a unique ability to practice telepathy with remarkable speed and clarity. She has taught her methods to thousands of people around the world, helping individuals connect more deeply with themselves, their children, and their animals. Through her books and global work, Ditte continues to empower others to trust their intuition, understand behavior on a deeper level, and live more connected, authentic lives. So welcome to the show, Ditte Young.
Hey, thank you. Nice that you're having me again.
Oh my goodness. Well, what an honor it is to have you here and just to talk about the work that you do. I find it so fascinating that not only you are able to communicate with animals through telepathy, but you teach other people to do the same. And we've already talked about your story several times. What I'd like to dive into is, your work really bridges psychology, telepathy, and animal behavior. What do people most misunderstand about the emotional lives of animals?
Uh, that they're not intelligent, I think. I think they misunderstand that these animals' greatest mission is to feel safe. And they feel safe when they are part of a collective and a family. And they are very concerned about their human beings and whoever is living in their houses. So I think the misconception here is the reach of the knowledge and what the animal senses on their families.
I think that that's so just empowering. And in your experience, because I know you have helped thousands of people, A-listers, celebrities, you name it, in regards to being able to communicate with their animals, what is the number one thing that you see that the animals are trying to share with really called owners, but they're people?
Mhm. I think what they share is, in short, when you are okay, I'm okay. And there are so many proofs or symptoms of what they mean. A lot of animal owners always ask me, am I the one who's sick and passes it on to my animal? Or is it the other way around? Is it the animal who's sick and I'm, receiving their sicknesses or their symptoms? And I do hope that animal lovers out there understand the concept of you are one. You become one when you connect with an animal.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because I've heard a lot of times you'll hear that different animals will help take illnesses from their people. Is that true?
It is true. Yeah, um they take away the pain or the symptoms because of the mirroring neurons we have. And I don't think they do it on with purpose or on purpose. I think it happens when we are connected. And we see it with other women, when we work together or spend a lot of time together in the same room month after month, our menstrual cycle kind of gets into some sort of a synchronicity. And the same thing happens when we connect with animals. We synchronize with those we love.
I've seen videos of people wearing a cast on their right foot and their hamster puts their little right foot out to kind of share the experience with their owners, but you see many animals doing it, or the dogs are hopping because their owners are hopping. So it's interesting how this mirroring effect happens with our beloved pets.
It is very interesting. And I think if people just knew and understood that these animals take our stress, our emotions, and they're trying to heal us all the time, even by having a behavior which we might interpret as somewhat problematic or air quote behavioral issue, even through that they are trying to teach us something about ourselves. And I do think that's why animal lovers can't live without animals, because we become so dependent on these therapeutic friends, four-legged friends.
Well, it's so easy to fall in love with them. And it's interesting. I wanted to kind of dive into this a little bit. So, even when we have behavioral issues, like I had a dog who was a stray that I captured. And during the year that I had her, she would chew everything. I had a billion chew toys for her, but every once in a while, like she found my cowboy boots. Those were just toast, or she found a leg of a chair and just different things. So what are these types of behaviors trying to tell us?
I have shared my knowledge in books, podcasts, shows, my own, being guest featured in other podcast shows, and my online courses about animals' personality profiles. And I can only encourage people to dive more into that if they believe that their animals have a personality profile, because I do believe a lot of the explanation behind their behavioral quote issues is found in their personality profiles. And I don't know if your dog was sensitive or a princess. This is just two examples out of many of my personality profiles. But in those, when we understand the profiles, we understand, was she motivated? Was that a stereotypical behavior? Was that stress, understimulation? Was it caused by whatever she picked up from you? Does this make sense?
It does. And thank you so much for sharing that. It's just so interesting when we dive into these behaviors. Like, why is this happening? They just don't do it because they have nothing else better to do. It's happening for a reason. And I love how you have everything profiled out so we can dive deeper into that and see what resonates with us.
Thank you.
So, what is it like when you are doing telepathy with a dog or horse or a cat or any animal? What does that feel like for you?
Oh, it feels like not only understanding the animal, but I'm becoming the animal. And when people are observing me when I work telepathically, when I do it live, and you get the opportunity to see me work live, either you've booked me or you're going on to a live event with me or just have seen my videos on YouTube or whatever channel I share my work on, they can see very clearly that I become the animal. And I always start a telepathic session by looking them into their eyes, because I believe the eyes are the gateway to the soul. And then the animal starts to send me images in front of my inner eyes, or emotions, that's the clear sentience, or they send me thoughts. And then I kind of pick up on all those three modalities and I become the animal. I completely understand what it's like becoming this animal. And then I speak up. And my job is kind of exhausting, because I need to ask the animal the question while being the animal and responding as being the animal. And I have to translate it to the owner as well. But that's my job and I love it.
It seems that it would be very interesting to share that telepathic space with an animal. And perhaps you're coming up with something like maybe when you first started with the horses, and maybe not knowing anything about the horses, but they're trying to show you something. How does that translate? How do you see that?
I often feel it first as an emotion, so that I understand how they are in the world And then we get back to the profiles, the personality profiles. And just in short, they are called the playful one, the sensitive one, the prince or the princess, the king or the queen. And then they can become rigid, lazy, or shock traumatized. And of course, the two last personality profiles are more a defense mechanism rather than it is a main character. They weren't born traumatized. So the first emotion I get is being either playful or very sensitive, very dominant, very self-confident, or feeling a very high self-worth. And based on whatever I feel, I know what kind of personality profile I have to, air quote, deal with here. And then I start explaining or asking questions to the animal. How are you playful? What is motivating for you as being playful? How can your human beings better help you with being playful? And so on and so on.
Now, a lot of times I hear that some animals can be a little spunky. Well, we say spunky. So, like if you have a cat that is just not wanting to deal with anybody, how do you share a telepathic space with an animal that's difficult?
I'll understand it because in the second they're being understood, the behavioral issues disappears. Now you said spunky, and you said it was just an example, a cat that would become skeptical or reluctant towards other people. And I would ask that cat, is that a part of you and who you are being sensitive? Are you physically sensitive? Are you mentally sensitive? Or are you shock traumatized and have experiences in your backpack you need help with to better be open towards the rest of the world?
So it's really understanding where they're at, even with behavioral issues going on. Have you experienced that with horses? Maybe a horse doesn't want to get close or.
The behavioral issues are many with horses. It could be either they're afraid of oncoming horses or other horses running behind them. They can be afraid of one specific place in the arena. They can be aggressive towards other human beings or horses in the stall, as an example. And my job is to provide or create an image, transmit it to the horse, and ask the horse, what is this reaction? Why are you doing that? And then they send it back to me. So I feel, oh my God, it's because you are afraid, or oh, you're traumatized, or you lack an understanding of the intentions from other people or horses, and that we can help you with. And then the behavioral issue disappears.
I find that so fascinating. It's just having that deep understanding. And I love how you give the opportunity for people to learn this for themselves in, I know it's in varying degrees because I think we all need a little help from the master. We don't decide we're going to climb Kilimanjaro and then start tomorrow doing it. I mean, we need practice, but that we can connect with our beloved animals that we share this planet with.
No, thank you. Thank you. And I think a lot of people always ask me the question, but is telepathy for everyone? Can everyone learn telepathy? Yes, it's a part of who we are. We can read other people, not air quote, cold read them, but being empathetic. We read other people. We understand other people. We feel comfort for other people. We just need to copy that onto the animals. And I don't think my students have difficulties with practicing telepathy. I think they have difficulties with trusting their own abilities, actually, trusting their intuition, trusting their gut.
Oh, that'd make a lot of sense because it's so easy for us to get an image or get some understanding through our mind's eye or through emotion. We could do it that way too?
Yeah, we can be either empathetic and feel it, or we can have some sort of visualization from the inner eye, like I might think it showed me this and this, but we're not certain. We're not 1000% sure. Or we could hear a sentence in our head that would sound like the tone of our own voice that said, I don't know why, but I need to call my mom. I don't know why, but I think I have to. And It's probably because it's telepathic. I know it's telepathic, but to begin with, people will find it odd or and more see it more as a coincidence.
Well, yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because I'll get a feeling of a friend that I haven't talked to in a while because life is busy and we're all going a million miles an hour. And you think of somebody, and then pretty soon that person's called me. So,
Exactly, exactly. But have you ever thought, oh, this was a coincidence? Or do you believe that maybe she thought of you?
hmm, okay, well, that's going to make my mind hurt now. So,
Okay.
oh my goodness. Well, and I know so many people, I mean, we really care about our beloved pets that we share this planet with. So how can we create a more like emotionally balanced environment for our animals? And even if we've never really done like intuitive work or telepathic work.
Whoa, that's a huge question because we have so different ways of what we use animals for and with and why we take them in. Some people just want to rescue animals and want to provide them better lives. But what is a better life for an animal? In my opinion, the best life is understand it in any way possible. The needs, is it sensitive? Is it scared? Is it understimulated and you need to train it more or differently? Then a lot of these problems disappear. In the equine industry, a lot of people always have asked me throughout the years, are you sure that you can defend the elite? You know, why do you think it's okay that people are using these horses for their sake of their own ego? Some very judgmental people would say that. And I've worked with so many people on the elite or in the elite who, yes, they are being very competitive and they're trying to do the best they can possible for the horses. So we can't judge each other and how we have, animals as family members or friends or air quote tools for us in the ego. But what we can do, regardless, is to understand them, what is motivational for them, and meet them with their needs.
I think that that is so empowering and it's interesting. Do you ever come across like an animal who really likes being like a show horse or show dog? I mean, they love it.
I do, and in my personality profile concept, it is called the prince or the princess because those type of personality profiles love to be seen, heard, acknowledged. They know it, and to those animal lovers out there who have a prince or princess, you know what I when I'm saying it gets taller whenever you bring it acknowledgement, or it almost feels like when you tell the prince, "Oh my God, you're beautiful." Your animal, as a prince, would respond, "I know, aren't I? I know." And those type of characters should compete. They should be out there and be seen as long as we respect not being too overambitious on their behalf, but understanding when when enough is enough.
That is too funny. I think I've had a dog like that before. Oh my goodness. Well, we have our beloved pets and they're here. I think they teach us lessons, don't they? Or are we learning from them all the time?
We are learning as human beings from the animals if we start to listen. And what we can, without the words, non-verbally hear would be when are they thriving? When are the happiest? And when are they sad or trying to calm us down as human beings? In a regular family household, we have some grown-up people, maybe some children in a very stressful life. And these animals are trying their best to send out love and healing to each and every single family members here without words. They're just being super happy whenever someone in the family is entering the door. They don't hold grudges against any of these family members. That is pure love. And whenever, let's take one family as an example. I just helped the other day. A girl was sad. Then the dog kind of knew she was sad and was very dependent on trying to get into her room. And the girl found it a little bit too much and asked, why is my dog constantly trying to, wham in my room and knock down the door if the dog could? And I told her, because your dog senses that you're not okay. That's just love. Instead of interpreting it as a behavioral problem, look at it as at what it is. It's trying to connect because the dog knows when you connect with me, you connect with yourself.
Oh, I love that. I love that because I mean, animals are just such pure love. So I would think when we connect with them, we're connecting, when you talk about ourselves, it's maybe our higher selves.
Yeah, I think it is our higher selves and just our needs in general. I think that's why most people love when I'm with my dog or my cat or my horse or whatever kind of animal you have. You can only be in the now. You breathe, you're in a meditative state, you're just in the now. Some people can go in and out of that connection, but what I'm talking about here is the telepathic connection if you believe you're telepathic. And I do believe that most animal owners know that I can, as the human being, be communicative to my animal. It is the other way around. It's difficult to trust what is my animal communicating to me. But in that seconds, we have the meeting, we have the connection. I see you and being seen back.
So even if our animals have crossed over, are we still able to communicate with them?
Oh, yes, we are, because the other side is just, if you believe in it, another frequency, just like an old radio station. You could tune in to one frequency or tune into another frequency, and heaven is just one out of many dimensions or frequencies out there. It's for some of my students, it's harder to reach that frequency. Some people, and you might have seen this with psychics or mediums working with deceased souls or spirits, their eyes kind of flickers a little bit because they reach a higher frequency when they are communicative with the other side. But is it a possibility? 1000% percent yes.
So, can you walk us through a short practice in as we start our journey in being able to telepathically communicate with our pets?
Yeah, I think one very simple practice is to make an agreement with your animal, for example, a yes or no. So you have to figure out the agreement. If the answer is yes to my dog, you have to look to the right, and if the your response would be no, look to the left instead. And then you can ask your dog, as an example of just one animal, a question, a very easy one that would require a yes or a no. And your animal will react a yes or no, like nodding the head to the right or the left, not necessarily after a second, but within the first minute. Then most people would doubt themselves and try again and try again and try again because they would assume, oh my God, I think it was a yes. I don't trust it. I'm gonna, cross examine this or just ask my animal the question again. And after three, four times, your animal don't think this is fun anymore. And then it will just keep staring, just directly in front of whatever is in front of it. And then the human being would start doubting their own abilities again. So I can only encourage you to make the agreement with your animal. A yes is to the one of the sides you decide, and a no is to the other side. And then do it once or twice each day.
I love that. It's developing that relationship. And if we are doing this type of communication with one of our animals in spirit, is it the same way?
Oh, no, because then you don't have the physical proof of an animal. You probably need to trust your own abilities. But the fun part is, whenever I speak about this, as you might already hear me say a couple of times right now during this interview, we spend more time and energy on trying to convince the human being, that you are telepathic, because the telepathic informations are just going back and forth all the time. And when it comes to a deceased animal, the easiest way of communicating with them is when you lower your brain waves, because you're more prepared to listen. And we lower the brain waves when we are practicing meditation or just before we fall asleep. And then it's important to trust your abilities. I think I heard, or I smelled, or I sensed, and then just trust it.
That's such great information. And thank you for sharing that with us. I mean, you've worked with thousands of animals over the years. What shifts have you seen when we talk about how people are relating to their pets, especially when we're looking at levels of awareness? Because I think so many more people are open to having telepathic communication with their beloved pets.
I think after I've been in the canine industry, the equine industry for 30 years now, it has been very clear to me that the development has gone from we use animals for the sake of our pleasure or our ego or our money or whatever, to we connect with animals because we need them. And during that 30 years I've been observing this, it's been pretty interesting to see the shift where people are becoming more focused on personal growth, personal development, and they know that these animals are taking them paw in hand onto that journey, and they have a mutual friend here on that journey. Because I feel a lot of people have stopped and looked at what is good for me now, not only what is good for the majority, the company I work in, the family I'm part of, but what is good for me. And on that journey, the animals become the best friends. And and I think a lot of people feel when they feel lonely, they know they can depend on their animals, and then they go paw in hand with their friends and never feel alone or lonely on that path. And I can only wish for an even deeper development in the future, where it will develop from going inwards and what is good for me and my interest back to the community, and see, all right, you have healed now, so how can I be of service for my community again? I have energy now, I have strength, I have resources now to send it back to my community.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Now, do we have soul contracts with our animals?
Oh yeah, we have soul contracts with them. A lot of people who have animals felt, this is it. This is my animal. I can't explain it. Some of my clients have only seen a photo of an animal and they knew, I'm going to buy it or I'm going to rescue that one. And I can't explain why I'm so attached or attracted to this animal. And oftentimes, when I do telepathic sessions where people want to know about their past lives, of course, they have lived several lives together, either fought in wars together or have been saving each other's lives prior, and now they got one more chance to heal themselves again. And people always ask me when I help them with deceased animals, do we get a chance more in this lifetime? And unfortunately, I can, tell you that because we don't have linear time on the other side, I don't think necessarily when you enter heaven, you have the opportunity to come back to this planet Earth within the next 30 or 50 years. But you will meet again, regardless.
I think that's so important. So many people want to know if their beloved pet will reincarnate over and over and over again. And I've always kind of wondered about that.
I think usually, and I don't hold the entire truth. I only hold my experiences, of course. But back in the days, a lot of people told me that animals had a collective soul, which meant they were in their heaven and us as human beings were in our heaven. And what I've seen is that's not true. We belong together on Earth, on this planet, and on the other side. We can measure the importance of humans above animals or the other way around. I have understood on the other side that we have our own individual heaven, which means I have my heaven. Marianne, you'll have your heaven. Your dog has her heaven, etc., etc. But we're all part of the same heaven. If I should create another image of it, it would be like observing heaven as a school. I have my classroom. Marianne, you have your classroom, and your old dog, she has her classroom, but we're part of the same school. We belong together.
Oh, that's good to hear because I think some people worry about that. It's like, where is my dog or cat or fish or horse going to go?
Yeah, they do. They do worry. And we do worry a lot about death here. And it's a deep conversation and a very vulnerable topic. But every single animals I've helped just before euthanasia have said, I don't fear death. I'm not afraid of dying. I know I'll die now. It's okay. They are more concerned about their human beings and they're trying to calm them down before they let go and get onto the other side than they are concerned about themselves because they know it's their nature. If we didn't take them into the boxes, the stall, the houses, they would seek outside when they become sick.
That's why animals will go and take off and be by themselves at the time when they know they're going to pass.
Exactly, because, and this might sound a bit rough, but it's their primal instinct to know the fact that when I'm lying here on the grass or in the field or in the forest by myself, wounded, somebody else, a werewolf, a dangerous tiger, would come and help me end my life because they would feel I'm sick or I'm vulnerable and they will help me end my life. That's their nature. That's why they're seeking out.
How can people learn or recognize the energetic clues that our pets are leaving for us? Because I think a lot of times our pets are trying to communicate with us and we're the ones that just aren't getting the message.
On the other side, you can always arrange or just find anything, a symbol or signal that will make it helpful for you to believe in the telepathic connection. Some people ask for, give me a weird sign like a purple elephant or a specific flower. And whenever I see that elephant or flower, I know that you are there. That could be one sign. But here on planet Earth, I can only encourage people to trust your animal is telepathic 24/7 because they sense, they use all of their six senses, five senses, and number six. What do I see, feel, sense you can't see? And they use their seventh sense, telepathy, by transmitting it onto other animals. We see it as an example, very with very stressed dogs, as an example. They differ between human beings that are being calm or stressed or angry and upset without those people are actually doing anything. They're not physical towards this animal, but the dog would know because they pick up on the energy. That's telepathic. So we see it all the time.
I know so many people worry about their pets, and sometimes do you see them misinterpreting what their pets are trying to tell them?
In 90% of the time, I think there's a truth behind those worries, but in the last 10% of the time, I think it's important to look at what we as human beings project onto those we love, which means if you have angst or anxiety or fear, are you projecting that onto your animal so that it becomes upset or sensitive or angst in the meeting with, as an example, other dogs. And when I work with that specific behavioral issues, I always have to cover, is it the animals separately that are afraid in the meeting with other dogs, or is the dog picking up on the fact that the human being has angst too?
They're so good at picking stuff up from us and interpreting what we're feeling, I think maybe even before we get it sometimes.
Oh, yeah, because they're just in the now. We can't lie. We can observe, oh, I have an emotion here. What is that? Why am I feeling the emotion I'm feeling? And now I've already spent 25 seconds on thinking about why am feeling what I'm feeling. But the animal will just pick up, oh, you're upset. Fact, you are upset or sad or stressed out or happy.
Do you have a story you can share with us? Because I know you get so many animals that you connect with and just help along the way. I'd love to hear one.
I have so many to share, and but take the example as the meeting with other dogs. I just helped a dog owner last week, and the dog was super, super sensitive in the meeting with other dogs, but it never acted like that when it was her son who walked the dog. And of course, I had to ask the dog, what is the difference between your human beings here? And the dog felt that when it was her son walking the son was very present and very in the now and kind of sensed with the dog. Oh, there's a soda can. Oh, there's a garbage can. Oh, we have grass here. So he kind of observed with the dog and never focused on what is around, the next corner. Oh no, I hope we are not meeting other dogs. Whereas the mom was looking in front of them all the time to seek for, I hope not, or I'm afraid of, that kind of thoughts. And the son never thought that. And the dog kind of tapped into, we're just in the now, so I'm in the now with the son. I don't see anything else besides from what he sees. So that was kind of interesting that the son absolutely recognized what I talked about, and the mother laughed because she knew she might learn something or two from the son.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. Oh my gosh. Well, I know your work is so in depth and it involves both the psychological and this intuitive realm that you're so deeply connected with. How do these two disciplines support each other when you're helping animals heal?
I think my telepathic ability helps me becoming the animal and completely understanding the animal non-biased, free of any judgment, free of any perception of anything that is not the animal's true reality. And my therapeutic abilities definitely helps me when I have to speak up to the owners and make them understand or help them to better understand the very vulnerable, difficult problems. It could be a very dominant horse that is very strong in the hand for the rider who's very insecure, and this girl might not trust herself and her own abilities. And now we have a problem because is this a match? And I always try to work therapeutically with riders or owners in general that are insecure of a very strong character, as this horse, as an example, could be, just basically trusting their own abilities and become more self-confident, not violent. When I say self-confident, I don't talk about violence. I talk about self-love and self-respect above anything. And when I look into the pack with other animals, regardless if it's dogs or cats or horses, they figure out very quickly a hierarchy. And they can fight, for several months, but at the end of it, one of them is going to win. They will figure out who's the king and who's the prince and who's the sensitive and who's the playful one, who's the dominant one and the leader one, and who's the passive one in a hierarchy. And my job as a therapist, which I love, absolutely love, is to help the human beings figuring out to be above this hierarchy and be the true leader of the heart. And then everything disappears, and that is self-development as well, self-love for the human being as well. And that can take one session and it can take a lot, depending on the human being's
Oh,
level of understanding.
oh my gosh. I could really see that, how that would actually be a lot of work for the human to really either get that or they boom, get it and they got it.
Yeah.
Do you have a different approach for dealing with animals that are more domesticated versus wild animals?
I think I enjoy mostly working with the domesticated animals because there is some sort of proof for the changes we do. It is difficult to work with the wildlife because they don't need us. Actually, I've been to the Maldives. I went to Africa. I've helped. This is not wildlife. This is domesticated, captivated animals in the zoos and in the circuses. And I enjoy asking animals from all aspects in life. How do you feel about working in the circus? What do you feel about being looked at in the zoo? Or what do you feel here on the safari and, this big land you have in front of you in Africa? And it varies a lot, but they're not as dependent on the human being as they are while being domesticated. And that connection between a human and an animal and how they can help with their each other's growth and personal development, that is what primarily has my interest.
I would say so. How interesting that is. Are there particular like behavioral issues that actually have a deeper emotional or energetic origin that people rarely consider?
Oh yeah, that is definitely the Home Alone issue. I haven't yet met. It's one of the most popular air quote behavioral issues I help with, besides from my dog is aggressive in the meeting with other dogs or fireworks, New Year's Eve, right? But I think that I would love for those people who breed the animals and the dogs to be more communicative before they pass this little pup, 8 weeks old pup, on to another family. Because often the first trauma is created here when the pup is not aware of the fact I'm moving, I'm getting away from my siblings here and my birth mom and getting into an entirely new home filled with new senses, smells, people, sounds. It's a huge shock for this little pup. And when I look at the family, they just love it. Oh, we have a puppy now, for the happiness and the sake for the family members, but they're not necessarily looking at the traumatic experience it is for the little puppy to change home. And if we just spoke this, told this to the little puppy, in 2 weeks from now, you're going to this family. They have two children and one other dog, or they have one cat, and we're taking you home. Now you have 1 week back. Now there's 5 days back, 3 days left, etc., etc. The pup is more prepared, mentally prepared for the move. And then we could remove, let's say, 50% of the home alone issues out there.
Oh, that makes such a big difference because yeah, that being left alone, is it because time doesn't really exist for them? So like 1 hour can feel like 2 days?
Both that, that time doesn't exist, and most human beings are not being specific not enough. So they would tell their dog or their little puppy, I'm coming back home soon. What is soon? And I would recommend you to tell your animals, I'm coming back home at a specific time, as an example, 2 p.m. or 4 p.m., because I'm going to work, or because I can't take you with me to a restaurant. And people might think this sounds ridiculous because do they understand time? And as I've already shared on other podcasts, such as the telepathy tapes, yes, they understand the meaning of time when we are being very specific and creating these visual images in front of us. We speak to them telepathically. I will be gone for 2 hours because I'm going to the supermarket. Everyone who can create visualization or images in front of their own eyes can visualize the supermarket and sense my emotion of 2 hours. Don't mind that. It's only 2 hours.
Well, I think we all need to start communicating with our animals differently because they're way smarter than we give them credit for.
Oh yes, and just to, put an end to the story about the Home Alone issue. So the timeline was one thing, but the fact that they were traumatized and they think she's never coming back to me. I'm gonna be left forever again. That's the traumatic part. And then they start screaming, yelling, tearing down the entire home. And we can prevent that by telling them, and I promise you, I'll come back to you.
So, what happens when we're dealing with fireworks? Because that's always a big one. And I know my dogs have had problems with that over the years. I know so many people, cats, horses, they all have issues with that.
And of course they do, because what is fireworks? They don't understand it. They see a flash in or light in the sky, and they just hear a very loud noise. And we have to remember, animals have a very well developed hearing, so they hear things times thousands of what we hear it as. And often they seek underneath the couch, underneath the bed, because they don't understand the earth is falling apart and now it will crush my head and I'm gonna die. That's why they seek comfort. And we can prevent that by telling them, oh, we have double roof. We actually have a roof on top of our head, and this fireworks will never reach you. And fireworks is something that we do as human beings. That is one explanation. But to succeed with that on New Year's or the days just before and after, I recommend you always to start sound training your animals in the second you receive them.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, my old dog Maxwell did not like fireworks at all. So I set up a little bed for him. It's funny that we were talking about this because I was like, he understands more than I think he does. And I set up a little bed for him in the laundry room. And I was talking with him. I said, okay, I set a little bed up for you in the laundry room. And he turned his head and looked down the hallway where the laundry room was. I'm like, he totally understood everything I just said, you know?
Good.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's so good to be able to piece that all together with this discussion with you. Now, do you have any upcoming events? Because I know so many people want to connect with you. And how lucky are we that we have you that we're able to talk with? So, do you have any upcoming events that you'd like to share?
Thank you for asking. I have one more event this year called Ditte Young Talks. It's on December 18th, and it's a live event where it's a possibility to ask me anything. And the bonus track is I provide telepathic demonstrations in there with the participants. I don't have time to help everyone in there. The first time I did it was I did 4 telepathic readings. That was in October. In November, I did 3 telepathic readings. Let's see what I have time to do in December. But that's one opportunity to meet me live.
And then why don't you share with us the courses you have and different ways that people can start training themselves so that we can be as smart as our animals?
I have made an online course. It is pre-recorded, which is called Animal Telepathy Mastery, and I have one for parents as well called Masterclass for Parents, of course. And the practice and the technique is basically the same, but what we ask animals and our children is way different, of course, but it's pre-recorded, so it's you have access in the second you purchase the ticket, you get access to the modules. And to become even better at it without buying one of my courses would definitely be to trust your intuition better, meditate, be silent during a day, remove your tablets or phones or TV and screens, be in nature and listen. And then, you will increase your already ability, the one you already have, you'll increase it pretty fast.
For most people, is that like a remembering for them that we have these gifts and talents? We've just kind of pushed them aside because we've been so busy, we're just so busy.
I do hope it would be a reminder. I don't know. I've always been attracted of those silence retreats, and people always laugh about me and tell me, "Oh, you wouldn't last for 2 days, Dide." But I would definitely love it. I spend a lot of time by myself being very silent because to become the voice of an animal requires that I don't have noise all the time. I need to be a clean channel, so I can't be too affected by the world.
That is just so fascinating. Well, where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community? And of course, sign up for your next event.
They can go to ditteyoung.com and they can find me on every single social media out there. So feel free to dive into my world.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Ditte. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about the hidden language of animals, decoding telepathic communication. Make sure to visit Ditte's website at ditteyoung.com. That's spelled Ditte young.com for more information on her work, to be part of her community, and of course, to sign up for one of her upcoming events. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.